All right, hey everyone, welcome to this week's Threes on Fire show. Along with Stell Boyd, I'm Irving Henderson. Listen, sorry guys, we haven't been on in a while. Life has been lifing. We've been having to deal with some stuff that's been going on, but feels good to get back here onto the show. John is, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like John is
Recovering from
somewhere.
another long night, probably.
Yeah, look, he's somewhere floating in the ethos. Can you at least give us proof of life, dog? Just give us proof of life. That's all we need right now. We just need proof of life that you still with us. All right, because I don't want us to have to come on here and do one of these tribute shows, but you still good. All right, let us know that you all right, dog. But listen, let's get right into things. We'll start with baseball. The Yankees Guardians American League Championship Series was short. It was only a 5-game series, but it was pretty damn exciting. For a 5-game series, this was a pretty classic series. But unfortunately for Cleveland, it's the Yankees that are headed to the World Series for the first time in 15 years. They clinched the pennant last night with a 5-2 10-inning win. Juan Soto, 3-run home run in the top of the 10th. I'm hoping that the Phillies were watching and are just going to open the checkbook up for this guy. At some point, I'm going to break down my displeasure with the way the Phillies season ended, because that's one of the things that happened during the time that we weren't on. I'm not going to get into it right
Yeah.
now, especially given who they lost to. But these last few games, Cleveland had game 3 in the bag. They blew the lead. Noel hits a home run in the 9th. They were 1 out away from losing. David Fry hits a walk-off in the 10th. And that's the only win in the series that the Guardians got. They lost game 4 late. Emmanuel Clase, their all-star closer, just fell apart at the absolute wrong time. And once again, you're seeing that in baseball, spending money can win you a championship.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it is. You got to
Yeah.
spend money in baseball if you want to compete. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Yankees have if not the highest payroll in baseball, it's certainly somewhere within the top 3. In fact, with the exception of Cleveland, the 3 teams remaining are in the top 3 in payroll. And the Yankees will await the winner of the Dodgers, that team from Flushing, NLCS winner. Right now, the Dodgers are up 3-2. They can close it out at home tonight. Should the Dodgers win, it will be the 12th World Series matchup between the Dodgers and the Yankees, the first since 1981. It is the most common World Series matchup between 2 teams. The NBA
Two
regular
things.
season begins. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you
No, go
off.
ahead.
But
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
one, it just, you said 15 years since the Yankees was last in the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. That seemed kind of odd because, I guess growing up in it being like the 90s and early 2000s, they were in a lot of World Series.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, they've always spent the money, but like you had Boston still being on top in the AL, and then it sort of went from Boston to, well, Texas had a nice little run in the early 2000s. Boston had their run.
Then the Phillies.
And then the Astros in the American League, and then the Astros.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty much been those teams, and then the outlier. I think the outlier was Cleveland. Cleveland went in 2016. They lost in 7 to the Cubs. The Royals won in 2015. The Rays went. I think the Rays went to a World Series in that time frame.
Yeah.
And I think it's either the Tigers. Yeah, it's the Tigers. The Tigers also ended up in the World Series somewhere in there too.
Oh, okay.
I think. Was it?
Another thing was, I keep forgetting that the Phillies are actually in the same league as the other New York team, not the premier team.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
baseball still ain't got no cap.
No cap in baseball. None. I think there's like a luxury tax threshold,
Okay.
but there's no cap. There's no cap.
Okay.
No,
All
you
right,
can you
just
can you
wanted
can
to
spend as much
add
as you
those
want.
two things.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, I know that this is a dream for Major League Baseball because you're either going to
Oh yeah,
have the largest market in America going at it for the World Series or the two largest markets with New York and LA. And in fact, the last like New York LA championship in anything, I think was 2015. It was the Rangers and the Kings in the Stanley Cup Finals. Since then, like you have not had that East Coast West Coast matchup for a championship.
okay.
All right, the NBA regular season begins on Tuesday. We'll have our season preview in the next episode. Sixers open on Wednesday at home against the Bucks. And since this city clearly can't have nice things, Paul George's status for the season opener won't be known until Tuesday. He hyperextended his knee during the Sixers preseason game against the Hawks last Monday. It looked bad. It looked really bad. Fortunately, no structural damage, no ligament damage. He should be good to go. The one other thing I want to say about the Sixers before we move on to the next thing, Joel Embiid declared that he's done playing back-to-backs for the
Yeah,
remainder of his career.
you
Sixers
know,
have 13 back-to-backs this year. I will be surprised if he sits out of all of them. I would. I would be surprised if he sits out of all of them. I don't think that's. I mean, I get it. You want to have this guy as healthy as possible for the playoffs, considering that just about every playoff run he ends up getting hurt.
yeah,
But some of these runs he's gotten hurt in the playoffs. So I
yeah,
don't. I don't really see like. I don't see how that's going to help.
right. And a lot of those back-to-back games are actually in March.
Mm-hmm.
Like the month of March is filled with back-to-back sports. I don't know. I don't know if they was trying to do us dirty after the All-Star break or what, but I
Yeah.
mean, you would think he would have to play, at least one or two of those.
He should. I don't think he's going to miss every back to back, especially if there's like a 2 day, off, 2 days
Yeah,
off before the next game. I expect that he's going to play in a couple of these back to backs.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Maxi?
No, what happened to Maxi?
Basically, he jammed his thumb. He got a thumb contusion, so he might be out for a couple weeks. I know. I just learned that this morning. I'm like, what the? It's always
If it
something, man, with the
if it ain't
Sixers.
one thing, it's something else with the Sixers, man. Listen, honestly, I know a lot of people like to talk about curses, and I know the city had the curse of Billy Penn. Because there was like a gentleman's agreement that no building in the city could be higher than the top
Tired.
of Billy Penn's hat.
Yeah,
And it took, a lifetime for the city to finally win a championship.
yeah,
I'm thinking the Sixers have the curse of Moses Malone. It just feels like anything that could possibly go wrong for this team since the Moses Malone trade has just been of a unmitigated disaster. I mean, even the 2001 run that the Sixers went on, damn near 2/3 of the roster was hurt.
yeah.
that playoff run, so it's like you can't catch a break, man. They cannot catch a break. But we'll get
I think one
good.
thing. I think one thing is for Paul George and Tyrese that the injury shouldn't be anything lingering and is
Mm-hmm.
minor. So better to get it out the way early and just hope for no more throughout the rest of the season.
It's
Because I want us to really be hitting our stride in May, around that time, April, May,
so we hope.
to finish the season. I want to finish strong. I don't want
So
them to
we
try
hope.
to, huh?
I said so we hope.
Yeah, well, get the injuries out the way now in the first month, and hopefully it's clear sailing from there.
That's about
Yeah.
all you can do, man. That's about all you can do is just cross your damn fingers. Listen, we're going to talk about college football next. But before we get into that, quick aside on boxing. It only takes one bad loss to like completely derail a fighter. Well, last night, super welterweight Tim Tszyu, who had a handful of potential matches on the horizon, possibly against Jermell Charlo or El Spence Jr., got washed by Bakram Murtazaliev. I hope I pronounced that right. Tszyu got dropped 3 times in the second round and then got dropped again early in the third. The corner threw in the towel. Nobody knows who's going to be next for this young man. This was his second loss in a row. He got starched. I mean, that second round was not. He got beaten down in that second round. Like it was really just like extremely dominant performance that nobody expected. Like Tim Tszyu was actually the odds-on favorite coming into this fight. Not by a lot. It was small, but he was still favored to win this fight. And you hear that last name. His dad is Kostya Tszyu, who famously knocked out Zab Judah. The infamous "don't ever play with matches" fight where he tried to get up and he fell again.
Yeah.
That's his father. But it's sad. It's sad to see this. He's only 29. I'm not saying his career is over, but you take a loss like that and the big fights aren't going to come your way. Like he's going to have to, like he's dropping way down the ladder. He's going to have to build himself back up to get back to that championship level.
Yeah, that's a bad loss to have right in the prime.
Yeah. And it's not just, and again, it's not just a loss. He got beat up bad. He got beat up. It was like even in the first round, he was taking hard punches. And then the accumulation of those, when you got to the second round, it is one of the most shocking, like quick losses I've ever seen a fighter like that take. And for understanding, you may have to go back to like maybe Leonard Hearns. Tommy Hearns against Roberto Duran. And he knocked Roberto Duran out in the second round. That's about the most shocking loss I've ever seen someone take of that level. That was just unbelievable, man. The corner did the right thing because if the fight had gone on, he might still be sleeping right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to college football. And how about the highly anticipated matchup between the new SEC rivals, as College Game Day tried to build it up as such yesterday. Number 1 Texas and number 5 Georgia ended up being a complete dud. The Bulldogs dominated from the opening whistle. They topped the Longhorns 30-15. Texas did try to make a game of it. They were down 23-0 at halftime. They cut the deficit to 23-15 going into the fourth. The 15-point loss for Texas became the most lopsided loss the number 1 team has suffered at home since 1982. Back then, the Dan Marino-led Pitt Panthers lost to Notre Dame 31-16. Now, Texas is definitely going to drop from the number 1 spot. You can expect number 2 Oregon to jump up in the polls. How far Texas goes down, not sure. If I had to guess right now, I'd say they probably go down to number 6 with Oregon number 1, Penn State 2, Georgia 3, Ohio State 4, and Miami 5.
Okay, so you got Georgia leapfrogging Ohio State?
Absolutely. You win a game like that, and I know Ohio State is undefeated, but I think
Ohio State not undefeated.
They're not. Oh no, the Ohio State does have a loss. My bad. Penn State is undefeated. Penn State is undefeated. Georgia's gonna jump Ohio State because Georgia went into number 1 and had a dominant victory. I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if Georgia's number 2 and they drop Penn State back a slot. That would not surprise me. It's college football.
Basically, keep Penn State where they at.
Yep. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I know it would be nutty. It would be nutty, but it's college football. We've seen it happen before.
That's true.
And how about number 7, Alabama? Their playoff hopes took another hit. This time they lose to Tennessee, 24-17. Tennessee's ranked number 11, so it's not like this was a bad loss, like the Vanderbilt loss. But the thing about this is, this could have opened the door for number 12, Notre Dame, to sneak back into the playoff conversation. And I hope that's not the case. I really hope
No.
that's not the case. But it's college football, man. It's college
Yeah.
football. You know, Notre Dame could be sneaking up into putting themselves in the conversation.
Let's hope
The
not.
question becomes now, though, the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have to be capped out on how many teams they get into the field. And you look at the Big Ten, and you have Penn State and you have Ohio State getting all of pub right now. Quietly, Indiana, still undefeated, is having a great season. So I'm looking at the Big Ten getting those 3 in.
I think, well, Oregon, don't forget Oregon's part of the Big Ten now.
Oh, yeah, in Oregon. That's right, in Oregon. So you have those 4 teams in that conversation.
What about Iowa State?
Iowa State is, I don't think they're in the Big Ten, but I think Iowa State will definitely be in the conversation. I think.
Okay. It's just Iowa, ain't it? It's Iowa.
Yeah, you think about Iowa.
Yeah.
Tennessee with this win over Alabama puts themselves in the conversation. The question becomes again, who on the next line after we get through with all of these teams playing each other and then the conference championships, who's still left standing? And I wonder if, because some of these teams are going to beat up on each other, if that cracks the window for Notre Dame to slip in. And I think it will. I think it will. Notre Dame is probably on the lower possibility. Like, they're not going to get in that high. But
no.
This being college football and the politics behind it and them being an independent, despite the bad loss to Northern Illinois, I honestly think if things keep going the way that they're going right now, especially with these conferences having ranked teams beating each other, they're going to slip in. I hope they don't, but they're probably going to slip in.
Ah, man. Oh, well.
Well, listen,
the U is still undefeated.
And
by the skin of our teeth.
Now, I'm glad you brought them up because this is rivalry week for Miami. They're number 6. They're undefeated. But what in the hell has happened to Florida State? They were a preseason number 10, and this year has been a complete disaster. They lost to Duke 23-16 Friday night. They actually had a 22-game winning streak against Duke. That's over with. They're 1-6. The season is lost. And the likelihood is they're going to play Miami and they're going to get waxed. And I don't even know how to explain what's happened to Florida State. I've seen teams come into the preseason ranking and struggle a little bit, still make themselves bowl eligible, but outside of the top 25. This is damn near historic. They were a top 10 team and they're 1-6. They are one of the worst teams in college football right now. And I know that makes you happy. As a Miami fan, I know that makes you happy right now to see Florida State completely shit in the bed, for lack of a better term.
It's a double-edged sword, though, because I like them to be somewhat good because it builds up our resume.
That ain't going to matter, man. It ain't gonna matter. As a matter of fact, if I look at it right now, y'all up 28-0 and the ball ain't even been kicked off yet.
I mean, that's true. What's happened with Florida and Florida State? I mean, at least Florida's making it look respectable, but
oh, listen, just I wanna make sure that we are clear here, just so we know, so we have this understanding with each other. If you guys lose to Florida State, y'all will officially be dumbass of the year candidate. If Florida State derails y'all season, you can put the Miami Hurricanes, you can put the U up there for candidate for dumbass of the year. Okay, I'm dead serious. Y'all will definitely be on that year-end list.
All right.
All right.
Bet.
Oh,
Yeah.
one other college football point. Shout out to my Temple Owls for beating Tulsa 20-10 at homecoming. Listen, I'll take it how I can get it. Okay, I will take it
You better.
however I can get it.
You better.
Listen, and my son's here. I thought he was going to be on campus partying with everybody else because wins don't come easy for this team. They don't.
Right.
But
Right.
good win yesterday. Tulsa, not a really good team either. But who would have ever thought we'd be sitting here talking about college football and Temple has more wins than Florida State?
Right.
All right, listen.
How the mighty is falling.
Listen, again, like I said, I'll take it however I can get it. I know we're not going anywhere.
Is there a new curse brewing? Is there a new curse brewing? The
what
curse of them
is
not
that?
hiring Dion?
Could be. I know they probably thinking about hiring them now, though. I do know that. All right, that's
too late now, buddy.
It's way too late now. I think he's got something in Colorado, and Colorado beat Arizona last night. If anybody who cares about what's going on with that program. Let's move on to the NFL. And right now, I will turn my head and update this because I had it. The Patriots are going to be personally responsible for Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson keeping his job for at least another week or two. The Jaguars are closing out a 32-16 win over the Patriots. I was certain that if the Jaguars had lost, Doug would have been booking his own flight back to America. We talked about the Jaguars in our NFL preview, and I did not expect them to play this terrible. I didn't. And granted, you'll take this win, but the Patriots are not very good. They're not good. This is not like this is a quality win for the Jaguars. It's a win against a team that they absolutely should be beating, considering the fact that they've been over in Europe for the last couple of weeks. The Patriots had to come over. The Jaguars were already there because they played there the week before. He's going to get fired. I'm sorry. He's going to get fired. By the end of the season, Doug Peterson will no longer be the head coach of the Jaguars. The question becomes, does he get another job somewhere else? Probably not as a head coach. More than likely, he'll probably get some looks as an offensive coordinator somewhere. But the league is looking for younger coaches. Yeah. And these older coaches are not going to get those looks like that. Not for head coaching positions.
No. Especially on a downward trend that he's been on.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened. Like they had a guaranteed playoff spot in their hands, and they just fumbled it away. And they're in a fairly weak division. They're in a fairly weak division outside of the Texans. Outside of the Texans, the Colts and the Titans, they're not that good either. So there was an opportunity there for them to pick up some wins and possibly put themselves on the bubble for making the playoffs. And we had them on the bubble for making the playoffs. That bubble's burst. The season is over at this point. They're probably going to pick somewhere in the top 5 or 5, definitely 10 in next year's draft. Well, we all had a laugh last Sunday at the Cowboys' expense. They got waxed by the Lions 47-9. The second home 40 burger that Dallas allowed. The Lions, however, could not fully enjoy their win. They lost all-pro defensive end Aiden Hutchinson to a fractured left tibia and fibula. The Lions will not call this injury a season ender because it is possible that he could return if the Lions reach the Super Bowl.
Nah.
It's
You know
possible.
that
It's
it's
possible.
possible, but
But
man,
they better get home field advantage. And this is a
yeah,
big matchup for them today against the Vikings, who are undefeated in Minnesota. Now, everybody's talking about last week how NBC wasn't able to take the Commanders and Ravens game and flex that into Sunday Night Football. And we got stuck with that terrible ass Bengals Giants game. If there was another week where you kind of wish that flex rule was in place, this
yeah,
Lions Vikings matchup is a lot more of an attractive matchup than the Jets and the Steelers. I'm
way more
sorry.
compelling.
I'm
Way
sorry.
more
And
compelling.
if Chad, if you watching, if I'm pissing you off because I know you a Steelers fan, you just got to take that, buddy. I'm sorry. The Lions Vikings matchup is a lot more attractive than that Jets Steelers game. But I know Jets are a major market because they play in the New York area, whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of injuries, the Eagles are going to be without tackle Jordan Mailata for the next 4 weeks. He's on injured reserve with what is being called a hamstring strain. Fortunately, it wasn't a tear. It did look bad. He was on crutches after last week's game against the Browns. The Titans will go with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Will Levis is out with a shoulder injury that he played through last week. And the Dolphins will continue their mission of trying to off Tua Tagovailoa as he can possibly return from his concussion to start next week against the Cardinals. Tua, my guy. just they trying
I
to
know
kill him, man. They
you
trying to
want him to
kill him.
hang it up, but man, I told you he's gonna give it another go.
Listen, I'm not even talking about hanging it up. Like, you're going to try to come back next week? And the Dolphins, like, he's finally back at practice. The Dolphins are going to let this happen? Okay, listen,
Well, how
I'm
long
going
he's
to tell
been
you
out?
right
He's been
now.
out what? What's it now?
I think he got hurt
5
in week.
weeks?
Mm-hmm. But here's my thing to that. If he gets another one this season, it's over. I'm sorry, it's over.
Yeah.
Because I look at my example for this is, and we talked about it, my example for this is Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman had concussions, but it took the two that he suffered in 2000 to effectively end his career. He got hurt in week 1 against the Eagles. He got a concussion in that game. He came back. A couple weeks later, they were playing Washington. He got smoked again, and he got another one. That was it. His career was over at that point. You don't want to see a quarterback like this have his career end on something like this. I'm not saying Tua should retire. I'm not saying I know we talked about it, and yeah, I was on that Tua should retire train, but I'm not saying in this moment right now, okay, Tua, you got to retire. You want to come back and play, cool, but please understand that your career is one hit away from being over. That's all it's going to take. It's not going to
You
take
think he's
2.
going?
One more hit, he's done.
You think he's gonna wear one of those little
The Guardian caps.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
panic cap.
they will probably make him wear that.
Yeah.
And that's about all you can do. But even though it lessens the possibility of a concussion, it doesn't completely, negate the possibility of a concussion. All it
No.
takes is one hard hit, one head slam to the ground, and it's a wrap. So Dolphins are playing with fire right now. They're playing with fire.
They are, but they knew it was going to be that way. Whenever they had decided to bring Tua back, it was going to be, cautionary, and it was going to be, up in the air. Seemed like, how boxers when some of them after they get that first knockout, they got the weak glass chin afterwards.
Yeah,
it's like similar
Jr.
thing.
Roy Jones Jr. Yep,
perfect example. And it's like even at that point, hits that don't even seem that hard will cause a concussion. So, one thing though, the Steelers are the Steelers really starting rust today?
They are. They are
They
definitely starting rust today, and
I don't know why. I don't know why.
I mean, I get it.
I thought Jameis. I thought Justin did enough to keep the job.
Well,
I don't know. I do expect Justin to play though.
but I don't believe in this. You can't lose your job because of an injury thing that people say. I don't believe in that. If this guy has the hot hand, you ride the hot hand. And if he cools off, then you go ahead and make that switch. But
Yeah,
he's been winning for the most part. I would the what 4-2,
they 4-2.
and and you're going to make the switch now. Listen, but on the other hand, if there was one head coach that I trust, it's Mike Tomlin.
Tom. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give Tomlin the benefit of the doubt, but I disagree with the decision to start Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and you know that thing that you just said, the not losing your job due to injury. I mean, that applies if you was actually playing. Russ didn't play any games
That's true.
during the regular season. It's not like he came out like 3-0 or something, or started the first 3 games and then got hurt, and then for these last 3 games, Fields was in, and then Russ is back now after 3 weeks of being off. No, he didn't play not a single regular season snap.
But you're paying this guy. You understand what I'm saying? You're paying this guy.
No. Remember, they're not paying him. The Broncos.
The Broncos are paying him.
The Broncos still on that tag.
Are they paying all of his salary?
Like 80-90% of it, I think.
Well, I mean, yeah, I get it. I probably again. I would have stuck with Fields for at least another week. That's what I would have. Now, I wonder if they told him this. But I wonder if like he was told going into last week's game against the Raiders, if he was told, hey, listen, Russ is ready. He's going to start next week, and you're going to go back to the bench. Either way, the way that he was speaking in his press conference, he sounded blindsided by it. He didn't sound too happy about the fact that he was being benched. He spoke about it in a real diplomatic tone, but you could hear in his voice like he was disappointed that he was getting pulled. And he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. And we thought the Bears did it dirty.
He might have not in some occasions did enough right, but like you said. But you know what? It's funny that I think they asked one of the receivers, and he spilled the beans. Like, it's like, dog, like you're not supposed to just give up confidential information like that. We try to keep that, all the way up to close to the vest until the last day possible.
Yep.
He's like, nah, Russ about to play. And I'm like, okay, well, now we know.
Yeah, look, kind of feel for Justin Fields, man. Got a raw deal in Chicago, and everybody's talking about Caleb Williams this, Caleb Williams that. They gave Caleb Williams the weapons. They gave this guy nothing. Nothing. They gave him nothing.
The defense is also surprising for the Bears. The Bears defense has been for real. Yep. I mean, they got some cupcake matchups, not too much offense to really defend against, but I mean, they held it down against the Texans that game, and we know the Texans have an explosive offense. So,
well, it's going to get real for the Bears pretty soon. It is. They're going to have to play the other teams in that division. They have some other tough non-divisional games coming up, so we'll see. We'll have that conversation about the contenders and pretenders when we get to the midseason.
Yeah, who would have knew that the NFC North would be the best division in football?
It's looking like it right now. It is. It's really looking like the North is where it's at this year, and there's even conversations that they could get that entire division into the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen. It could, given the way that the other divisions are playing, because, you got the 49ers in the West and then
nothing. And then you got one team is going to probably make it out the East. And,
probably one from the South.
I don't know. The South might get two.
Depends on what happens with the Falcons. Yeah, I was going to say that. Depends on what happens with the Falcons. All right, the Bills and Jets played each other last Monday night, and they each made trades for wide receivers. The Bills got Amari Cooper from the Browns, and the Jets reunited Devontae Adams with Aaron Rodgers, picking him up from the Raiders. The Jets also finally ended the holdout saga with Hassan Reddick. the two sides came to an agreement on an adjusted salary, whatever that means. And Reddick is expected to return to the team on Monday. Is this a big deal for the Jets? I mean, getting Devontae Adams. Rodgers is still the quarterback. Rodgers still plays hero ball way too much. In fact, last couple of games have ended with him making terrible decisions. The Monday night game, he had a wide open Brees Hall in the middle of the field, decided to throw deep to the receiver slips. So it's not totally on Aaron Rodgers, but it was still a bad pass because the defender was in position to make a play on the ball either way.
Yeah.
Is it really going to matter? Will Devontae Adams and the return of Hassan Reddick turn the tide for the Jets?
I mean, I don't know how much it's going to really matter, but I know it's their last hope.
Yeah.
Rodgers and the receivers, besides it's funny because Lazard has been the most consistent receiver, and that's due to chemistry. And I guess that's the thing with Devontae. I mean, Devontae is also awesome, but it's the chemistry factor. He doesn't really have Aaron. He doesn't really have that much chemistry with Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson. Yeah,
and
he has like no chemistry with either of those guys.
Well, apparently there's a report out now that Garrett Wilson's on the trading block. So Garrett Wilson.
I thought Williams would be.
No, Wilson
the way he threw Williams under the bus, I thought Williams was going to be like.
Yeah, don't be surprised if someone picks up Garrett Wilson within the next week or so before the deadline is over. That's the conversation. The conversation is he's available.
Hopefully it's the Panthers.
For what?
For what? What you mean for what? We need every single bit of help we could get, especially when we get our new quarterback like next year.
You trust your team to make a good decision here? You trust them to make?
No, I don't trust us.
Because here's what's going to happen. Garrett Wilson is going to get over there, and we'll never hear from him again. That's like, it's over. It's over. Like his career will be done if he goes to y'all. I mean, that's like, I'm sorry. That's where careers go to die now. Like that's.
No, we're gonna turn this around in 2026. Yeah.
2026. I'm gonna hold you
not
to
next
that.
year.
I'm definitely gonna hold you to that. All right. Well, listen, we have reached the point in the show where it's time for our picks for the week. First of all, I'd like to state that between you and I, neither of us has hit an upset pick in quite a while. In fact, we both hit our last upset picks in week 3. For some odd reason, you've been taking the Commanders a lot this season. Your upset pick in week 3 was the Commanders over the Bengals. My last upset pick hit was also in week 3. I had the Eagles over the Saints because the conversation that week was the Saints were putting up 40-plus points. Their offense was just killing it, and the Eagles exposed the Saints in that game. The Saints offense has not looked the same since that game. Matter of fact, they're not winning.
Terrible.
They're not winning. That was the beginning of the downfall for them. And, this is why I say you have to be careful crowning teams so early in the season. Now, granted, I get it. I know Carr is injured. Hill got hurt. But the way the narrative was after those first 2 wins, it was here come the Saints, and they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They're going to challenge the Bucs for the division. They're probably better than the Falcons. This is the stuff that was being said. And now you're not having those conversations anymore. Now the question becomes, what's wrong with the Saints? So, that was the last time we hit on any upset picks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that tends to happen when you stomp the Cowboys. Since they're the darling team, it's like, oh man, you beat the Cowboys. Cowboys ain't like that, especially this year.
Nope. But that's again the other conversation we had, and I will say that when we do have our mid-season conversation about where we are, we kind of dismissed the Commanders,
We
and
did.
they've been the surprising team so far this year. But again, it's still early. It's still early.
Well, I did
There's
say they was going to be third. I
you
didn't
did,
expect them to be first.
yeah. You did, and I am like pins and needles waiting for that Thursday night matchup between the Eagles and Commanders. The Eagles swept the Commanders last year. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. I don't know. I think the Commanders could possibly steal one of these games this year. It depends on like the flow of where each team is going into each matchup. Well, again, we'll talk more about that as we get further into the season. Let's start things off with our lock pick of the week. No Will Levis, no chance. I'm taking the Bills over the Titans for my lock pick.
You took my pick. I got the same thing. Bills over Titans.
All right. Who do you have in your 50-50?
Taking my son to beat the Packers. Texans over Packers.
Good pick. Good pick. You know what? I thought about that one. I didn't want to touch it though, and I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to take the Rams over the Raiders for my 50-50. Both of these teams are just like
Struggling.
stuck in quicksand, and
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp will not play this week once again for the Rams. My upset pick. There's not a lot of really many upsets you can take this week because this week you have a lot of good teams playing other good teams, and you have a lot of bad teams playing
Playing
bad
other.
teams this week.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the Browns over the Bengals for my upset pick this week.
You know I took that same game, right?
You took the Browns too?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, here's the thing. I know
Now
what's going to
watch
happen
John take the
here.
Browns.
Yeah, if he ever gets his damn picks in, come on, dude. It's been 3 weeks, man. Get your picks in. I know you ain't here, but when you wake up, get them damn picks in. All right, so let's go on to our awards for the week. And I was prepared to do an entire unfiltered on Nick Sirianni after what he did after last week's game. I know he apologized, this, that, and the third. A fan came out and said what it was all about. Nick Sirianni's getting dumbass of the week this week for me. I don't get it. I don't get it. No, I don't get it.
You should have.
I am perfectly fine with a coach having a personality. I'm not against that. I am against coaches chirping at the fans. For what? What for? And you're going to do that here in this city after what happened last year, after the way you helmed a collapse, like from 10-2 to having to go on the road in the playoffs and then getting dogged like that in front of a national audience. And you're playing against a Browns team, and I will give the Eagles a ton of credit. They played well. They beat a team that they were supposed to beat. Hurts didn't make any mistakes. In fact, the defense didn't give up any touchdowns. The only touchdowns the Browns scored was on that blocked field goal attempt. But you put the team in position to give up those points because on 3rd and 1, you got Saquon Barkley blocking.
Right.
So you take the win and shut the hell up. Fans chirping at you regardless of what it is. And then you want to say, oh, well, the booing. Do you know where you are? Do you know where you are? This is a city that, when our expectations aren't being met, and not saying that we always expect our teams to win, but we expect them to perform at a certain level. And when it doesn't happen, the booing is definitely going to come out. Don't talk about the fans booing. Oh, well, we couldn't because the fans were booing us. Shut that up. Shut that up. We don't want to hear that excuse. That's been going on for a long time here. And believe me, the same way that we boo is the same way we'll rise to our feet to cheer for you guys and egg you guys on, especially late in games. The defense needs to stop. That crowd will come to life in support of you. Do not get it twisted. When you're getting the other side of the coin, it's because you deserve it. Period. But that's all I'm going to say on Nick Sirianni. But let's put a pin in this in case we have to circle back to it.
All right. You know,
did you have one this week?
Huh?
Did you have one this week, or did you want to move on to person of the week?
Oh, I do have a dumbass.
All right, who you got as dumbass of the week?
This one can't be avoided. It's got to be Aaron Rodgers, man. It's got to be Aaron Rodgers, man. Because the last 2 weeks, this man has been throwing stones and hiding his hand. Like, he gonna have a call with the owner, chop it up with him, and then old boy gets fired, and then he pretends like, oh man, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Yeah, even though I just talked to the owner last night. I didn't know he was gonna fire Salah. And then now he throws away the game at the end. He's like, well, the receiver, what he should have did was bang, he's supposed to push the outside. And, even though I knew he did the wrong thing, I still threw the ball his way because, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I could do that, I guess.
So you missed the open receiver in the middle of the field, tried to be gunslinger, and it didn't work out, and you gonna blame the other guy.
Yeah, so he gotta eat that, man. No. He gotta have dumbass for that. But my person of the week is actually not a person, it's a thing, it's a whole thing. It's the WNBA finals. And it's been a damn good epic finals, Most of the games have been decided by 2 or 3 points, except for one. The series is tied 2-2 between the Liberty and the Lynx. Game 5 is tonight, 8:00 on ESPN. And, it's been great. WNBA has had a great season overall. And this culmination of this finals is it's spectacular, man. It's a good come up.
Yeah, and it's been a perfect showcase for the stars that they have in the league. I've kind of been, keeping one eye on it. Tonight this is it. This is like the winner takes the championship, right?
Yeah, it's a final game 5 in New York. I think New York will pull it out. But they've been getting like over 1 million views every game.
Yeah, that's good. That's a very good thing, especially with Angel Reese bringing to light that her salary is barely enough to pay her bills. Now,
listen, she almost got dumbass of the week too.
I get it, but the fact that these women have to play in professional leagues in other countries in their off season for the WNBA to supplement their income, it's not good.
It's not good. That's not good. Fault. That's our fault.
I agree.
That's our fault as the fans. They get paid based off of revenue. If the league has a high revenue, then they get paid. If the league doesn't make money, they can't get paid. That ain't on the league. That ain't on the players. That's on the viewership of the fans.
Well, let's hope this is the beginning of a turnaround. Ratings have gone way up this year, and it's not just because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
She's been out since the first round, and it's still been going strong.
They have an amazing amount of talent. Now, if you don't like women's basketball, that's fine. That's your choice. But let's not sit up here and pretend like they don't have quality players in the WNBA. You just don't want to watch it because it's women. That period. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I have a people of the week as well. Those of you may know I coach football. My 11U Parkside Saints are going to get my people of the week because of what's happened the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks, unfortunately, because we don't have enough teams in our actual league, we've had to go outside the league and schedule games. So we go to last Saturday night. We had a game against Longcrest up in Frankfurt. Unfortunately, we had kids show up late. That's not their fault. Parents have to get them there. We didn't have a lot of time to get ready. And we've been questioning all season what was going to happen when we got into a tight game. Because for the most part, all season long, we've played bad teams and we've blown them out. Like the games have been over going into halftime. Longcrest had us 0-0 at halftime. We spoke to the kids about locking in, getting the game under control, and we scored a touchdown, didn't get the extra point. Longcrest drives down late in the fourth quarter. They get down to the 5. We get an interception. We stop them. Minute and 40 seconds left. We should run the ball. Our coach decides to throw the ball. And Rob was nearly on my dumb ass of the weakness for this, especially if he had cost us this game. But the pass got intercepted. So Longcrest gets the ball all over again inside the red zone. They get down to the 2. Our kid read the play beautifully. He got hung out the drive because the linebacker should have been covering the tight end. He went into blitz. The corner saw it, jumped to the tight end, got the interception. We end up winning the game 6-0. And then this past Saturday, we went down to Delaware. This was our third trip on the road like that. We had a preseason game in Delaware. We had a game before the Longcrest game in Baltimore. Again, 0-0 at halftime. Told the kids they need to lock in because they weren't focused. We end up pulling away in the second half. We won 19-0. Shout out to Ace. Shout out to my brother Ike. Their defense has given up all season long 6 points.
Oh. Man.
So we're rolling to the city championship game next weekend. So Del, I'll give you the details once I get it. I'll probably have the details on Wednesday, where and what time we play. We should win the city championship handily. The 2 teams that played each other yesterday, we beat them handily in the regular season. I'm not going to put the cart before the horse. Anything can happen. It's football. But I expect these kids to be focused, come out and win the city championship. We're looking at a rematch with Abington in the regional championship game in November. All right.
Okay.
My what to watch this week is Turnaround, or The Turnaround, which is on Netflix. It's a 25-minute short on last season's Phillies. Trey Turner was struggling at the plate, in the field. He was making bad errors. And a fan made a video basically saying that weekend series with the Royals, fans should cheer for Trey Turner instead of booing him and see if, that helps turn the tide. It did. It did. I was surprised. He responded to that. I think he hit a homer that night. You could see that he returned back to his all-star form after that night. He started hitting the ball better. He started fielding the ball better. And that's my thing, again, that I was talking about as far as Philly fans. Trust me, we will be right there to support you. Do not antagonize us, man. Because if you antagonize us, you're going to get that ugliness. You will. You're going to get that ugliness. But trust and believe, we can also elevate you with how we respond to you as well. And I know there's going to be a conversation about that, whatever, and Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins, this, that, and the third. Look, the city responded well to Trey Turner last year and Alec Boehm the year before, after Boehm made an error, got booed, and the cameras caught him mouthing, quote, "I fucking hate this place." Right?
Oh, no.
The fans didn't boo him the next night. The fans cheered him because they were like, all right, yeah, I get it. I get it. We hard on you. We hard
Yeah,
on you.
yeah.
And but you spoke from the heart. You understand what I'm saying? You spoke from the heart. And he apologized, but said, it was a moment, that's on me. He took that. He didn't hide from it. And like you said about Aaron Rodgers and just try to, excuse it away. He took the hit. He said, yeah, it was a bad night. And the fans responded positively to him. Sirianni, you don't do what you're supposed to do these next 2 weeks. When you get back to Philly, you're not going to get that same reaction. You're not. It's going to be much different. And we're about 15 minutes away from kickoff to the Eagles-Giants game. You got anything our viewers should be watching this week?
Oh, no, I'm ready to get up out of here. I got another podcast to jump on. Basketball, I guess. Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, basketball regular season starts Tuesday. Doubleheader. I think it's I forget who the Celtics are playing. The Celtics are raising their banner, and then the Lakers are the nightcap game on TNT. And unfortunately, man, enjoy inside the NBA as much as you can this year. This will be TNT's
The
last
last.
year
Yeah.
having NBA basketball. We'll talk about that when we get into our basketball preview. But listen, I got a cold one that's starting to get a little warm. It's almost time for kickoff. Listen, we'll talk about basketball and our season preview the next time we get at you guys. All right, let's go, man. Football time. Go Eagles.